I want you to take some notes as best that you can and borrow a pen from somebody because we're going to spend some time together. And I want to let you know that I have hot flashes occasionally. I call them power surges because I'm a two-time cancer conqueror. And so thank you. Give a round of applause for that. Yes. So the medication they had me on, it causes power surges. At night, when I start sweating, I put the cover on, take the cover off. Put the cover on, take the cover off. I no longer laugh at women who have hot flashes. It is no joke, guys. Please trust me on this. God's got a sense of humor. How many of you have major goals you'd like to achieve? Raise your hands, please. Very good. Shake someone's hand on your right and left. Look them in the eyes and say, you have something special. Do that, please. Say, you have something special. Yes. You have something special. You have greatness within you. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. And I always start my presentations with how many of you have major goals you'd like to achieve. I want to ask you another question. How many of you know if you had your life to live over again, you could have done more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands, please. Okay, that proves a point that what you do and what you accomplish in life is only a tip of the iceberg of what's possible for you. And, you know, I took some exception with Reverend Maureen wanting to call this an evening with Les Brown. And then today I really processed it because I'm going to share some insights with you. And I'm going to challenge you to think about the goals that you want. And whatever goals that you want, I want you to raise the bar on yourself. And the reason that I'm suggesting that, I have found that most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss. Most people fail in life because they aim too low and hit. And that's what I did a major part of my life. And then that's what I did up until recently. Because at this stage of my life, at 68, there's some things that happened that I didn't anticipate. And just surprised me and shocked me because I'm a person that I've been pursuing goals and encouraging and motivating people to pursue their goals. And I've overcome some challenges in life, and I'm going to share some things with you, not to impress you, but to impress upon you that you have the ability to do more. And then something I realized about myself, that I unconsciously stopped pushing myself. Unconsciously, I got comfortable. Unconsciously, I wasn't even aware of it. And so I realized that I was in a state of comfort. You know, Osborne said, unless you attempt to do something beyond that, which you've already mastered, you will never grow. And so what happened for me, I think a lot of things can happen to you that life can kind of wear down your willpower. Anybody understand what I'm talking about? Sometimes just the toll of things that happen to you that you don't even consider. In Los Angeles, a couple of years ago, I was looking to do a talk show. I used to have one 10 years ago. And many places where I went and interviewed, the people say, oh, he's good, and he's quick, and he's fast, and he's got personality, and he's got passion, he's got energy. And then when I left the room, they told the person who brought me there, he's too old. I'm out in the parking lot, I said, I'm too old? What does that have to do? Wait a minute, they told me I was good, I was fast, had energy, vitality. I could do 142 push-ups nonstop. I bet that little bird chest punk can't do it we just got through talking to. I'll challenge him right now. And I got out the car. She says, Les, get back in the car. You can't go in there and challenge the guy to push-ups because he called you old. He hurt my feelings. And so what I was doing at that time, I was just being honest, and I was showing my gray hair. And so she said, Les, when they see the gray hair, they think that you're old. So now I use mascara to cover my gray hair. That of Bazelle waterproof. I was there covered up today before getting ready. Okay. You know, my children say, Daddy, you look distinguished with your gray hair. I said, this stage of my life, I'm not trying to look distinguished. I'm trying to look young. So at any rate, this thing called life, I want to share with you where I am right now, and I want you to think about your goals and dreams, but I want to take you on a little journey here about the power of believing and achieving. But there's some things that we must look at. Why is it that most people don't achieve their goals today? What is it that stop most people? Most people don't believe in themselves. What I'm doing, and I've been doing it now for 40 years, that I didn't believe that I could do it. Being born in a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City, in an abandoned building on a floor with a twin brother. And when we were in the fifth grade, I was identified as EMR, labeled educable, mentally retarded, and put back from the fifth grade to the fourth grade. And I have no college training. And so when I think about my life, is that this where I was for the first part of my life. I was stuck. I didn't believe in myself. How many had periods in your life that you didn't believe you can do the things you wanted to do? I was stuck. And so the other reason that most people are stuck in life is because most people are bombarded with too much negative information. How many of you know people who should be here today? Raise your hands, please. Yeah, you got to counteract that negative information. I've called a young man today for the third time, and he didn't answer the telephone. And I said, listen. I said, David, my name is Les Brown. We have a mutual friend. And I said, your name is David. David is a giant slayer. You're fighting cancer. I've done that twice, David. I'm going to call you and tell you, answer this phone. But I need to be in your ear. I want you to know I'm not going to stop until you call me back. And hung up. Now, David needs another conversation in his head. But he's received a conversation right now that based upon the facts that he's on the way out. See, I don't think the doctor should tell people they're terminally ill. What they should say is that my knowledge and ability to help you has terminated. See, many of us have too much respect for facts. Am I making sense with you on that? Because that's what the doctor saw. What if he's the lowest one in his class? What do you call a doctor at the bottom of his class when he graduates from school? A doctor. So he needs another conversation in his head. Let's say it's possible. Let us say together, it's possible. I want you to think about some golden dream that you haven't made happen in your life right now. Let us say together, it's possible. Let us say together, it's necessary that I fight back. How many of you know if you got goals and dreams that it's not going to be easy? Raise your hands, please. That you're going to get some resistance. If you are casual about your dream, you will end up a casualty. Trust me on that. When you want something, there's some discomfort that's involved. You have something special. You have greatness within you. I don't even know you, but I can tell you that based upon my own experience. But in order to manifest your greatness, you've got to put yourself in a perpetual state of discomfort. You've got to deliberately challenge yourself, stretch yourself, because, and I want you to repeat after me, please, my power is outside my comfort zone. Yeah, see, that's where your power is outside of your comfort zone. You've got to get uncomfortable and challenge yourself. How many of you know that's hard? Raise your hands, please. It's hard. And so you got to go against the naysayers. It's always easy for people to tell you what you can't do. My mother taught me something. She said, Leslie, don't let anybody convince you that you can't do something, especially if they haven't done it. How many ever had somebody tell you couldn't do something? Raise your hands, please. And let me share something with you. You're coming here, being a part of this ministry, being involved in this workshop tonight. It is very important that you continuously expose yourself to positive messages over and over and over again. My mother worked on Miami Beach as a domestic worker. She cooked for families, and we ate the food left over from the families that she cooked for. These were very kind and generous people. They would say, Mamie, whatever food is left over, you can pack it up and take it home to those children that you have adopted. And my mother could cook, too. My mother could bake a sweet potato pie so good you couldn't eat it with your shoes on. You had to take your shoes off so you could wiggle your toes. And walking around those big, beautiful homes, I used to say, Mama. She said, what is it, boy? When I become a man, I'm going to buy you a big, beautiful home just like this. And the reason, as I look back on my life, the reason that I had that vision and my other brothers and sisters did not is because I had the responsibility of cleaning the office of Mr. Swiderski. And Mr. Swiderski listened to motivational messages all the time. He listened to Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, who wrote The Power of Positive Thinking. He listened to Zig Ziglar and Earl Nightingale. We become what we think about. All of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it. And when we were going across the Venetian Causeway, back over into Liberty City into Overtown in Miami, my brothers and sisters, they would look out of the window and say, oh, that's my Edsel. No, that's my Studebaker. No, that's my Chevrolet. And I would look at the hotels and the big, beautiful homes, and I'd say, that's my home. What was happening? I was exposed to messages that began to expand my vision of what was possible for me. And it began to change my mindset. And I didn't even know at that time how it was impacting me, while my brothers and sisters, they were listening to the things that were out in the world. My favorite book says, be ye not conformed to this world, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Here's something else. We're in a new world, and in order to navigate territory that you've never been in, you need a guide. You need someone who's been there who can help you work through that process to get to the next level. Einstein said, the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. I called a friend today, and I said, listen, I need you to help me out. And he says, what? His name is Breon. He's a fitness coach. I said, Breon, I said, man, the medication they put me on, I said, I gained 250 pounds, 55 pounds overnight. And as a result of it, I became type 2 diabetic. So in 2011, not only was I facing cancer that 40% of my T1 vertebrae and metastasized in 8 different areas of my body, but then the medication they put me on, I gained all this extra weight. When I'm on stage, I usually have my coats buttoned, but what happened was I put them on tonight, and I got in the closet. I said, I don't know what kind of insurance coverage they have, but if I get up there and try to hold this in all night and start breathing easily and a button pop up and hit you in the eye, you're going to want to sue Reverend Maureen. You understand what I'm saying? So I said, well, just let me keep it open and just try to act like I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? But the truth of the matter is, it's too small. Oh, my God. When you pass a certain age, stuff starts happening. Stuff start expanding, stuff start dropping, and you know, Betty Davis said, old age is not for wimps. Oh my God, it's a trip. I tell you, I mean, at this stage of my life, I can't believe all the stuff that's happening, and I never thought this happened. I want you to think about your goals and dreams. Let us read this together, please. If your desires are not consistent with your beliefs, you will always manifest your beliefs. This is why one of the things that we have to do is work on our mindset to believe that it's possible, and you have to sell yourself on it every day, because we live in a world where we already have some programming in our head. We already have some stuff in our head. Cancer is the most feared word in 7 different languages. So the reason why this young guy is not answering the telephone, he's afraid that he's going to die. So he's being governed by fear. So my goal is, once I get I'm going to get him on the phone, is that I got to override the conversation that's already in his head. How many of you had to talk somebody out of being self-destructive on themselves? Raise your hands, please. Okay, we all have been there, and we've all had moments when someone had to talk to us to reset our thinking. See, he's taken a hit, and particularly if he's gone through some treatments, and so that happened to me. That I was going through treatment and blew up, and they said, not only, sir, now you battling cancer, but now type 2 diabetic, and then gave me some extra medication. And so it's hard. Let me tell you, when you get to a point in your life, I just want to show you some things. When you get to a point in your life, I start thinking about all the stuff that I'm taking to stay alive. I just said, what in the world? What? All this stuff that I'm taking. I said, wait a minute. Plus my Mickey Mouse fan for hot flashes. I said, look, and I got my Kangen water. I got my wheatgrass. Oh my God. Let me tell you, I got stuff for high blood pressure. I got 5 stents. It's amazing I'm standing up on this stage. Oh my God. Let me tell you something. I looked at this stuff tonight. I just said, how many know you got to be strong to do this? Look here. Trust me on this. I said, wait a minute. I can't be all these medications, and I'm affirming and visualizing and talking to myself. And my blood pressure, I got that under control. I was on 5 different medications for type 2 diabetes. I'm now down to 1 because my goal is to get off all of that. How many of you know it's hard? Raise your hands, please. I never imagined this. I didn't ever take stuff when I was younger, but at 68, I'm taking all this stuff to stay here. How many of you know you got to talk to yourself? Raise your hands, please. You got to talk to yourself and say, I can make it. This doesn't define me. I'm stronger than this. It's tough, you know, and I think about things that I used to do that I can't do anymore. A friend of mine, she called her brother. He said, hello. She said, what's wrong? He said, I'm mad. She said, why? He said, because I'm 85. She said, well, what's wrong with that? My daughter wanted to take my car keys. She said, why? Because I ran into a telephone booth. That's the only telephone booth I've ever ran over in my life. And she wanted to come live with me. He said, I love her, but I don't like her like that. He said, where did all the time go? And that's what I asked myself. Where did all the time go? I used to think that people in their 40s were old. Now that I'm 68, I feel like I served at the Lord's Supper. So, okay, let's read this together, please. If you feed your mind as often as you feed your stomach, then you'll never have to worry about feeding your stomach or a roof over your head or clothes on your back. I encourage you to go to as many seminars and workshops as you possibly can and do things to feed your mind. I have a ritual every day, thank you so much, that I listen to things to feed my mind, things that I read, seminars and workshops, and just doing this. I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you. I'm not wearing any crown. I'm still growing. I'm still developing. I'm still stretching myself and pushing myself to go to the next level. What you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. So part of what my process is now is, the reason I brought this, is that this is out of sight in my house. Why? Because I don't want myself believing that this is my future. And so therefore, what I do is I take the pills out. I say grace over everything before I take it, that I'm getting younger and I'm getting stronger every day in every way. My body is strengthening my immune system and producing powerful white blood cells that kill quickly and permanently every renegade cancer cell in my body. And every day my body is regulating itself, that I no longer need medication. I no longer need the things that I've been taking to keep me healthy. And so now the doctor's amazed that they have now taken me off 4 different medications, and ultimately, before the year's out, because of my game plan and my strategy, let us say together, you got to fight back. Because of my mindset and my exercise programs and the things that I'm doing, I got a strategy. I'm not just going to stop. I have a strategy of things that I must do on a regular basis so that I will reduce my need for this, and I'm measuring stuff to see where I am in relationship to what my goal is. Am I making sense with you on that? All right, even my hot flashes are not as frequent as they once were. So here's the thing, is that as you look at your goals and look at the things that you want to do, let us say together, approve yourself. Give yourself some credit. How many ever beat yourself up? Raise your hands, please. Yes, and so what happens is you got to have some goals for yourself. How many have made some mistakes before? Raise your hands, please. Right, how many of you, if you had your life to live over again, you do some different things, am I right? Yes, how many of you have had some periods in your life you were temporarily insane? Raise your hand. That's what I'm talking about. And so what you have to do is you have to approve yourself. And that part of that whole process is forgiving yourself. And so I was beating myself up for a long time. I thought about all the dumb mistakes that I made. And so commit yourself, and I'm going to, for those of you that are serious, somebody asked me, said, do you ever do any coaching? And I said, yes, I do group coaching. And so we have something here called Unwrap Your Infinite Greatness. Only around 12 of them, because usually they sell out. And I believe that we all have greatness. I'm going to show you the journey of something that I developed for myself and then for my children that will help you to begin to bring out those other dimensions of who you are. It's a very encouraging process. And what the part of my style of communication is three-dimensional speaking and training. And what it does, it impacts your mind, your heart, and your spirit. Let us say together, I must honor myself and stay the course. See, there's some things that can happen to you that will cause you to become discouraged. And so after all of these rejections, I decided, hey, the fact they say that I'm old, I'm not going to allow that to stop me. Somebody somewhere is going to give me a show. If Honey Boo Boo's got a show, they got shows about pawn wars, repo wars. Am I making this up? Storage bin wars. I'm not making it. I saw one promotion there, there men with long beards. Come on, a guy catching hogs and alligators. There's somebody's going to say yes to me. Let us say together, somebody's going to say yes to me. Yes, somebody's going to say that. I'm not going to go home and feel sorry for myself and give up. They're going to get tired of seeing me. They're going to give me something. Trust me on that. Somebody's going to give me a show. And let us say together, expect miracles and watch them unfold. So I expect to get a show. I expect to be back on. I expect that you're going to be seeing me. And in order to get the goals that you want, you've got to be persistent. You've got to be willing to persevere. You've got to be willing to face rejection again and again and again. Write this down. Make no your vitamin. Yeah, make no your vitamins. A lot of people, when they hear no, they stop dead in their tracks. They say no, and they give up. Say they won't do it. You got to make no your vitamin. You got to keep coming back again and again and again and expect somebody's going to say yes. A friend of mine went to New York to get a job. And so she came back and said, how did things go? She said, I didn't get the job. I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. She said, oh, I didn't expect to get it. I said, then why did you go? Why didn't you stay home? If you didn't expect to get it, you should have stayed home. You shouldn't waste their time or your time. So you got to have a mindset that things are going to happen for you. Let us say together, visualize what you want. I was thinking about a friend, haven't talked to him for about 6 months, and he called me today. I said, man, you were just on my mind yesterday. How many of you have had that experience? See, when you get to a certain level of development, you can no longer allow yourself just to think like everybody else. Be ye not conformed to this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Because things they will manifest faster. And so what I do, I deliberately hold the vision tenaciously, seeing myself on television. That's how I had my first show. I visualized myself being on television. I had a show 10 years ago. It was the highest rated, fastest canceled talk show in the history of television. Well, at least I had one. It's called The Les Brown Show. And they said it was too decent for television. They fired me. It's a trip, all right? I wouldn't compromise. My brother, I have a twin brother. And he said, Les, for $5 million, you should have compromised. I said, no. I didn't compromise, so they canceled it. It says too decent for television. An extraordinary life is available to you. And I'm going to tell you this. It is. We're living in a time, ladies and gentlemen, that we know anything's possible. Every time a negative thought comes into my mind about the goals that I have of training 10,000 voices of hope, of teaching and training people techniques and strategies on how to begin to take to the next level. Every time a negative thought comes in my mind, I say, Barack! Regardless of your political persuasion. That's something that happened in our lifetime that we didn't even think about and never thought it would happen, and it happened twice. Come on. So nothing is out of reach. Am I making sense to you on this? Trust me on this. No, it's time to raise the bar. Let us say together, raise the bar. Now, I'm going to tell, how many of you would like me to tell you something that can change your life right now? Raise your hands, please. Very good, and tell you something. You see that picture there? That's my mother. That's Mrs. Mamie Brown. She adopted Wesley and I when she was 46. She never had any children herself. Which one am I? The one on the right? On her right. Yeah, I'm the cute one. Yes, that's right. Yes. Now, so my goal, and here's something else. How many have somebody that you like to do something special for? Raise your hands, please. Very good. My goal was to buy her a home. That was my goal. That encouraged me. That's what caused me to listen to Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret in the World. I listened to that series over and over and over again. And I bought my mother 4 different homes before she passed. I took care of her until she passed at age 89. She was a 22-year breast cancer conqueror. And she was an incredible woman, incredible human being. And I just love her spirit and her energy. And after she adopted us 5 years later, she adopted 5 other children. And she raised us, and she was a person who had drive, and she was unstoppable. But isn't it interesting how you can be raised in the same house with the same people, same parents, same circumstances, and end up dramatically different than your brothers and sisters? Isn't it? How many ever do what I'm talking about? I mean, my brother and I are different in day and night. You hear me? Unbelievable. It's amazing. It's amazing. And so I want you to think about your goal. One of the things, let us read this, please. It's not where you start, it's where you're going. That's Wesley and I eating sugar cane in Overtown. Anybody ever had sugar cane? Raise your hands, please. Let me tell you something. Boy, you know, Stephen Colbert did a piece on Donald Trump 2 weeks ago. Please pull it up. I can't repeat it on stage here, but it's worth seeing. He challenged Donald Trump. He said, Donald Trump, I will give you $1 million. There's something I want you to do. Now, those of you who saw it, how many of you saw it? Raise your hand. It is hysterical. I watch it every day. Just put in Stephen Colbert, $1 million for Donald Trump. And then after you see it, email me at yes@lesbrown.com. You're going to crack up. I love this. I mean, he deserved this. You know, it was Brian Williams said that Donald Trump has gone from being absurd to going off the bridge. He's going over the line. But Donald Trump, his father gave him $200 million to pursue his dream. How many of you know if I give you $200 million, you got a good shot of living your dream, all right? Am I right? Now, listen to this. Even with that, my mother gave us 2 pieces of sugar cane, and we had an advantage. The room always gets quiet when I do this. I speak for corporations around the world, and they always get quiet when I do this. Like they're saying, like, what you talking about, Willis? Well, Donald Trump was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. If you had a choice between eating a silver spoon and eating 2 pieces of sugar cane, which one would you eat? That's what I'm talking about. Yes, I got to take whatever I can get. Sugar cane. All right, but let me show you this, the journey. I became a disc jockey. And this friend of mine, he told me something. I want you to think about one positive voice. How many of you ever had a positive voice in your life? Raise your hands. This positive voice. This guy who told me at that time, I was Les Brown, LB Triple P, Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me, and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, duly qualified to bring you satisfaction, a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry, all right? Come on, give me a round of applause, all right? So this guy, he came into my life named Mike Williams. He became my coach. Einstein said, the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. Where you are right now, your best thinking has produced what you have. And you can go further. Let us say together, I need an intervention. He was an intervention in my life, and things happened. Here's what happened. I went from being an entertainer and encouraging people to get up in the morning on the air to promoting concerts. He expanded my vision. He said, you're more than a paycheck. And the first group I brought to town, 1973. That's me in the back. That's Michael Jackson standing in the front at 10. I didn't know who they were. They didn't know who I was. When I had you to shake someone's hand on your right and left and say, you have something special, you have no idea whose hand you just shook. You have no idea. And so none of us standing there at that time knew that that young boy standing in the front was going to become one of the greatest entertainers the world has ever known. The person whose hand you just touched, you have no idea what's going to happen with them. Eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has entered the heart of mankind what God has in store for you and for them. So because of him, I became a community activist. He helped me to develop my voice. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a voice. One of the things that I'm doing is my goal at this stage of my life is to train 100,000 voices of hope. I stopped pursuing this dream because I said, I'm too old now, and because of what happened to me physically and beating cancer for the second time and type 2 diabetes. And I thought I was finished. And so I stopped using my voice and started just training other speakers. I want 100,000 voices of hope outside of politics and outside of religion, both of which I believe polarize and divide people. People who give a message of hope, because when there's hope in the future, that gives you power in the present, and encourage people to expand their skill set. There's no shortage of opportunity. There's a shortage of opportunity for people who have not expanded their skill set, and to encourage people to create collaborative, achievement-driven relationships. Because of Mike Williams, I became a community activist. Because of Mike Williams, I ran, now think about it, I was a disc jockey, community activist, a concert promoter. Here's another Les Brown. I became a state legislator. I passed 14 bills my first term. I was elected from the 29th House District in Columbus, Ohio. Sherrod Brown, who just ran for re-election in the Senate in Ohio, he and I went into the legislature together. I was going to go for the Senate, then I was going to go for Congress, and I was going to run for a statewide office. But this guy is a different guy than the guy who promoted concerts and the guy that was the disc jockey. He's a different personality. Then my mother became sick. How many of you ever had something to interrupt your life? Raise your hands, please. And I put my dreams on hold. I'm adopted. I told my mother at 10, Mama, what is it, Leslie? When I become a man, when I turn 18, you'll never have to pay another bill. When I become a man, I'm going to sit you down. You'll never have to work again. I don't believe that women should work. A man's job is to take care of the woman. If a woman wants to work, whatever money she earns, she should use it to pamper herself. But a man takes care of the woman that he loves. And so I took care of my mother. I'm old school. Yeah, when I was a kid, women didn't work, men did, all right? A woman is not supposed to pay bills. That's what a man does. And so I took care of Mama, and I gave up my political ambition, went back to Miami, and then to keep my spirits up, I would go to seminars and workshops just like this. And I'll never forget, I saw Zig Ziglar, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, Robert Schuller, Wayne Dyer, and Jim Rohn. I was there among 5,000 people. For 14 years, Mike Williams said, Les Brown, you're more than a disc jockey, even when I ran for the Ohio legislature. And I was seated up in the balcony looking at these guys, and my heart would beat fast. But I didn't realize at that time I was watching my destiny. I had all of their books and all of their audio programs because I like to help people. How many of you like to help people? Raise your hands, please. I'm going to tell you how you can do that. Now, notice something that I'm doing, and write this down. This is going to change your life. And I hope that you have the courage to do it and don't wait 14 years that I did. Write this down. Say, write down, I'm going to write a book about my story. You got a book in you. I'm just telling you my story. That's all that I'm doing right now. And there's somebody somewhere. How many of you have already gotten value out of what I've said? Raise your hands, please. There's somebody somewhere that's your assignment. Somebody somewhere that's waiting to hear your story. They're waiting to hear how you got out of a life of operating in your comfort zone, waiting to hear how you conquered an addiction, waiting to hear how you conquered your fears, waiting to hear how you are able to decide to live your passion and live your faith rather than your fear. Somebody. See, there are certain people that's my assignment, that when I speak, that they're going to hear me. But there are certain people, when you speak, they're going to hear you. There are certain people, when you speak, they're going to hear you. And I believe that we need more than listening to politicians and religious leaders. I believe that ordinary people who are called to do an extraordinary work have a calling to change the planet. And my goal is to teach them how to do it. And so all I've been doing now is telling you my story. So this is when Mama passed. It changed my life. And so I decided when I was at that event, a guy said something that changed my life. Somebody here this evening, there's something that I'm going to say that is going to go straight from your mind to your heart. He said, I know there's somebody here that has a passion for changing people's lives. I know there's somebody here that has a story in them that the world needs to hear. And he said, the reason I'm standing up here and you're seated out there is because I represent the thoughts you have rejected for yourself. Whoa. When he said that, that hit me between the eyes, Maureen, because I had looked at these guys and I said, I can do that. That's what my heart said. And then when I would start going to the car with their books and audio tapes under my arms, my voice, that inner voice would say, Les Brown, you can't do that. You don't have a college education. Les Brown, you're adopted. You don't even know who your parents are. Les Brown, you were labeled educable mentally retarded. Les Brown, you were put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade and failed again in the 8th grade. You don't have any degree. Who would listen to you? What would you say in a book? What is it about your life that has any value for anybody? There's a proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. Shakespeare said, the fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings. How many of you ever thought about something that you wanted to do? You felt it in your heart, and you talk yourself out of it. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. I convinced myself for 14 years. And when he spoke those words, I represent the thoughts you have rejected for yourself. It's like he broke a spell. And so I began to pursue that dream. That's Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. I made up my mind that night, I'm going to be on stage with him. He wrote The Power of Positive Thinking. And when I came to this place where he was speaking, I was asked to open for him. I was in Chicago. And Og Mandino, who wrote a book called The Greatest Salesman in the World, was in an airport in Philadelphia and couldn't make it. And he called and said, Les Brown, I need you to open for someone for me. I said, who? Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. I said, no, man, you got to be kidding. I said, oh, that's my dream. He said, listen, he's in Kankakee, Illinois. I need you to open for him. I'm in the airport in Philadelphia and I can't get out. And I said, no problem. I drove to Kankakee, Illinois, came to the back of the theater, and I said, hi, my name is Les Brown. He said, you're not the band leader. No, I'm not Les Brown. The band of Redound. No, I'm not. He said, well, who are you? I said, I'm Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy. He said, who's Baby Brown? I said, my mama. So they called Dr. Peale's wife out, said, there's a young man here. Said he's supposed to open for Dr. Peale. His name is Les Brown, but he's not the band leader. So she said, okay. So she said, tell him to come back. I came back, and Dr. Peale was in the dressing room, and his back was to me. And she said, Pops, Les Brown is here, and it's not the band leader. And he said, Les Brown, shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. I said, yes, sir. I sent that to you when I was in the 10th grade, sir. That's my quote, sir. He said, young man, every time I close a speech out, I say that. Shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. I'm honored to meet you, Mr. Brown. Oh, sir, I'm honored to meet you. I'm so excited. Then a young guy was backstage who was supposed to speak. He said, Dr. Peale, how old are you? Dr. Peel at that time was 92. He said, 92. He said, I don't know if I want to live to get to 92. He said, that's because you've never been 91. He is a quick guy, you hear me? He walked 2 miles every day, he and his wife together. He was an incredible man. And that's, how many of you have a college education? Raise your hands, please. Very good. How many have ever given a lecture at Harvard University? No hands? Shake someone's hand on your right and left and say, that's in your future. Do that right now. Say, that's in your future. Yeah. Everybody right now, point at me right now. Say, Les Brown. Point at me. Say, Les Brown. If you can do it, I can do it. And when you say I want you to say it with more conviction. All right? Point at me again. Say, Les Brown. If you can do it, I can do it. Absolutely. Yes, you can. Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto you. I see you giving lectures around the world. I see you writing books to change people's lives. I see you living your greatness. There's something special in you. There's greatness within you. And I see you taking your life to the next level. And because you were born, the world will never be the same again. Give yourselves a round of applause. Come on. Give yourselves a round of applause. So I've given 4 different lectures at Harvard University. This is a special that I did for PBS. Got a Grammy for that. I did 8 different specials for public television. I was at the National Speakers Association. We had a brainstorming session. And I said, you know, we need to be on PBS like Wayne Dyer and John Bradshaw and Leo Pascalia. So they don't put motivational speakers on there. I say, then why don't one of us be the first? I'm going to send them my information. They said, Les, you can't get on public television. If anybody could have done it, Zig Ziglar would have done it, or Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, and you don't even have a college education. I said, well, I'm going to try. And I did. Made several $1 million from those specials. I'm glad I didn't listen to those chumps. Don't listen to chumps, all right? This is, now I don't tell you this to impress you, but to impress upon you, you have something special. You have greatness within you. This is the highest award from the National Speakers Association, given by your peers. They inducted me into the Hall of Fame of the National Speakers Association. Thank you. How many have ever heard of Toastmasters? Raise your hands, please. Toastmasters. This is the Golden Gavel Award. This is the highest award they give for Toastmasters. I received that. Now, mind you, I didn't do this for 14 years. And I'm saying to you, don't listen to those negative thoughts in you. Because I didn't live this life for 14 years. It was available to me. What we do and what we accomplish is a result of our willingness to approve ourselves and to believe that it's possible. Now, this is funny. They poll over 51,000 people around the world to find the top 5 speakers in the world. General Norman Schwarzkopf on the left. Anybody ever heard of him? Raise your hands. Lee Iacocca. You ever heard of him? Raise your hand. Robert Schuller. Raise your hand. Down the bottom, Paul Harvey. Raise your hand. The world's greatest. And there in the center, Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy. Y'all need to go out and y'all need to go out and get some sugar cane. I mean, who'd have thought? Who'd have thought that going from there, coming from here to go there? Who'd have thought? So now, here's why I think it's important that you write a book. Write this down. Number 1, it increases your value in the marketplace. When you have a book, my fee went from $500 to over $5,000 an hour. And then when I wrote Live Your Dreams, then it's not over till you win. Then my fee went to $10,000. So what happens is, and write this down, you become an expert in your area. And what made me decide to pursue this, I was in this seminar and this guy said, the average American reads 1 book a year. He said, if you read 1 book a month in your area of interest, in 5 years, when the average American would have read 5 books, you'd have read 60 books. That will make you an expert. Write this down. Knowledge is the new currency. Knowledge is the new currency. How many of you have been on a job for over 5 years? Raise your hands, please. How many of you can teach people some things that can shorten their learning curve because of your experience, your knowledge? Raise your hands, please, okay? So what I want you to listen and follow me on this. This is an incredible time that we're living. This is a time that you want to not just terms of looking for a job. You want to create your own job, control your own destiny, create your own stimulus package and recovery plan. Does that make sense? Okay, now, so this is Ming Wong. Ming Wong and her husband, they have a restaurant here in California, and she has a story. She came up in a culture where women were not valued and respected, and she has a passion for working with young people. And so we've trained and worked with her to help to develop her voice. She's a powerful speaker. And now she is a person that when she takes the platform, her presence and her grace is phenomenal. This is, oh boy, Alan McDougall. Alan McDougall was an alcoholic for many years and homeless. He slept across from 5-star hotels. He would not stay across from the Red Roof Inn or something. 5-star hotels. That was one of his idiosyncratic ways. And so, but he laughs. I'm an introvert. I'm a quiet guy. Can you develop my power voice? And I said, yes. He's now the spokesperson for MAD, with Women Against Drunk Drivers, and he travels around the world speaking now. He's a phenomenal speaker now. This is Trish Luna de Alva. One of the goals I have training people how to develop their voice. She does a presentation called Take Your Power Back, and the experiences she had as a young person and being molested. This is a young man that I told him the value of writing a book, and I wrote the foreword for this. His name is Johnny Wimbrey. He's out of Dallas, Texas. He was in a gang, and his best friend was killed. And so he was in church with a gun, and he was going to avenge his friend's death. Came out in front of the church, and his best friend's mother said, "I forgive the young man who killed my son." And he said he stood there and he looked at her and he said, "Whoa." He said, "I loved him, but I didn't love him more than his mother loved him." And he turned around and gave the minister his gun, went back in the church, gave the minister his gun. His minister said, you need to get in touch with Les Brown. And he and I have been friends. He's one of the most gifted speakers that I've ever had the honor of training, and now I'm learning from him. He's just phenomenal, electrifying young man. His book is called From the Hood to Doing Good. He's an ex-felon, in and out of jail in his younger years, but now he's traveling around the world, just got back from Israel, and is just turning people's lives completely around. Gloria Ramirez, she's an incredible voice out of South Florida. She's a healer, has an MBA, worked for corporate America, and now she's working her dream of helping people to change their lives. Sean Arnold. Sean, where's Sean? She's raised in foster care here in California. Give attorney Sean Arnold a round of applause. Stand up, Sean. Raised in the foster care system here. What is it that you do for kids in the system? I'm a CASA. Court-appointed special advocate for abused and neglected children. Incredible person, and she also runs a boot camp, and she's a strategist. She was a corporate attorney for like 14 years, and they decided they were going to go in another direction and weren't taking her, and now she's created her own path. Everybody say, create your own path. Yeah. This is Soraya Dean. Let's give her a round of applause. Attorney Soraya Dean. Soraya creates dialogue between Christians and Muslims. Muslims have been demonized in our culture, and so she helps to create dialogue between them. And she has a book here, and I encourage you to get her book. Her book is entitled Peace Matters, 33 Powerful Actions All Mothers Can Take to Raise Peace-Conscious Children. And that's available over there. In addition, Sean, how many remember the classic movie they always play at Christmas time. What's the name of the, No, not A Wonderful Life. I love that one. Huh? The Wizard of Oz. Anybody ever seen The Wizard of Oz? Yeah. This is The Art of Negotiation by Sean Arnold. And she used an analogy with The Wizard of Oz. You have got to give this. It's very fascinating. And so there are just so many things that we can do today that can make a difference. And this is Clifton. He has an MBA from Walton. Am I pronouncing it? Wharton? Yes. You see why they had me in special education. You know the school. And he was the CFO of a billion-dollar company. And they decided to go in another direction. And so now he has created his own direction. This is Annie Crawley. I talked to her yesterday. Annie was a teacher. I spoke. She's among 2,000 people. Write this down. You have an energy signature. You have an energy signature. When I spoke, even though she enjoyed teaching, but her passion, what she loved, is underwater videography. That's her there on the left. And she's now been inducted into the Videographers Hall of Fame of underwater videography. She was in one foreign country, and she sent me an email. Les, come join me. We're videotaping hammerhead sharks. And I videotaped her back. I said, have you ever heard of a black person being eaten by a hammerhead shark? I said, we don't play that. No way, Jose. No way, buddy. I have to wear Depends if I went under there and saw a hammerhead shark. No. No. Boy, this thing called life is humbling. It's humbling, You used to come into places to see where the ladies were, now look to see where's the nearest restroom, I'm turning red as I talk about this, but y'all can't see it. I tickle myself. Okay. This is Dr. Julie Van Putten. What an incredible voice. She's a speaker. She's a trainer. She's an MD and PhD, raised in the Detroit school system. And when she was 10 years old, teacher said, what do you like to be? She said, I'd like to become a doctor. And she said, you don't have the grades to do that. Fast forward 20 years, and she had already had 2 master's degrees in the health area. And so her mentor said, what do you want to be? He said, you ought to become a doctor. She said, I'd like to, but I was told I couldn't do that because of my grades. He said, you can be anything you want to be. And she said, when he spoke with that conviction, like he broke a spell, and she got a scholarship, MD, PhD program at The Ohio State University. And my business partner, life partner, where is she? Stand up. Where's Dr. Julie Van Putten? Give her a round of applause right there. Yeah. She believed a lie for 20 years. How many have been told that you couldn't do something? Raise your hands, please. Yes. Let us say, I release that lie right now. Yes. So I say to you, and these things I shared with you, not to impress you, but to impress upon you, that when you share your story, it's going to touch people's lives. Not only will it increase your credibility, increase your brand, will it increase your reach. And what we're doing now is working with people. How many believe that you have a book and you have a story, and you raise your hands, please? Very good. Make sure that you communicate with us. I'd like for you to email me and just say, I have a book in me. Just yes@lesbrown.com. Why yes@lesbrown.com. And what we do is, many of you don't have the time to sit down and write it. We assign ghostwriters to you, interview you, transcribe it, and then write it in your voice. I have a book I put out called Fight for Your Dreams, and it made the Amazon bestseller list, and I'm now working on Fight for Your Dream Part 2, and I'm looking for co-authors. And what we do is help you to accelerate your brand. Let us say together, borrowed credibility. Say it again, borrowed credibility. So not only do we help you to get your story out in our book, but teach you how to deliver your story, how to tell it and impact audiences, how to do seminars and workshops, how to earn money with your story. All I did is start at the top of my story and how to pivot from your story and create value for an audience, create an experience with the audience, because if information could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy. Am I right? There's no shortage of information. People can go online, go to the library, and get information. Am I correct on that? Good. Now, other thing is, how many have children? Raise your hands, please. How many of you realize you can't live your children's life? Raise your hands, please. Repeat after me, please. Let go or be dragged. You got to let go. One of my sons I know is about to move to Colorado. Where's that place that just legalized marijuana? I know he's out of here now. He probably helped to support that campaign. I don't know, that's bad. Stop that. All right. But well, he's a trip. But how many of those kids will drain you if you let them? They will wear you out. And so I had to learn to let go. They'll put you on guilt trips. How many of you know that, right? And don't let them get together and start communicating together. They'll work you. They'll work you. They'll work you. I know when I get together with my kids, I can only be there for so long before they stop having a good time with each other, and then they get the daggers out for me. It's a trip. I just say, look here, excuse me, I got to go. Homie got to go. I'm glad to see them, and I'm glad to see them when they go. It's a trip. I wish I'd had my grandchildren first. Oh, behave. Whatever. Yes, any questions that you like? How many believe that there's more in you? Raise your hands, please. How many of you believe that you have more to express? Raise your hands, please. Very good. Any questions, please, you like to ask me? Don't everybody raise your hands at the same time. Yes. The question was asked, what if you know you can do more and you know there's more in you, but you don't know what? What is your name? Nikki? Nikki, will you be my friend and come up on stage for a moment, please? Nikki says she knows she can do more. She knows that there's more in her. Nikki, this is your time. Everybody say, Nikki, this is your time. The other Nikki, say that, say the other Nikki, she wants to get out. Come on up, Nikki, come on up. Yeah, she's going to be free. Nikki, now, you want to do more. You know there's more in you, but you don't know what that is. Okay, now, you don't know, let's accept that you don't know what it is. But using your imagination, if you did know, what would that look like?
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Okay, it's a hard, but you can do it. Bring the microphone up to you. What would that look like? What is that something else
Well,
that's
it would
calling
be
you?
working with people.
Working with people? Okay, what would you be doing? Go
And it
ahead.
would be helping people and,
Helping people, working with people, and what else?
see, I'm retired, so I'm like beyond my career kind of thing.
No, you're not retired, you're refired.
Oh,
Yes, go ahead, go ahead.
So that's why I don't really know what direction.
No, but it's okay, but
exactly.
it's not necessary that you know. You know, you got to walk by faith and not by sight. But we've already started. You said you like
Right.
working with people, you like
Right.
helping people, right?
Right.
In what areas would you like to help people when you start doing that? What area, what does that look like? What would you help them to do?
Well, I once had a dream that I'd like to help women, just enrich them and encourage them to do whatever they want to do.
So you want to empower women
Empower women.
so that they can make some decisions about their life
Well,
that
right.
will allow them to do the things they want to do. When did you become interested in that?
Oh.
What is it about that appeals to you?
Well, because I like women, and I think that oftentimes people grew up in my era and whatever. I had great parents, so it's not my parents, but I don't think we had those options. And I think I was in human resources, so I dealt with a lot of people. So I just like to encourage people to, well, empower is a perfect word. I like to empower people to do what they could do or what they want to do. And I sometimes think women don't always have that. More today they do, absolutely. But I think there'd be a place somewhere where I might be able to fill that gap a little
Okay,
bit.
good. So now what we know is that you like to help women, you like to empower them, and you want to fill that gap. You want to be a voice to help women to get a vision of themselves beyond their circumstances and their mental conditioning. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you have experiences. You were involved in human resources, and you've seen people who were victims of their environment and their circumstances. Am I correct?
True.
And you've had some experiences that can help them to be freed up.
Right, because I've come through some things myself. So
You've come through, what's some of the things you've come through? It's okay, just share. Let us say together, there's power in sharing. So what's your story around that?
Well, what had I come through? Actually, I've had a pretty good life, so I can't complain. I was a teacher. That was my first occupation. But I came through a divorce and raised 2 children alone, so that's an issue women had
So
to deal
coming
with.
through a divorce, women have 50% of the population go through divorce, and you raised 3 children
Two.
alone,
Two.
2 children alone. And what was that experience like? How did you find the courage to do that?
Well, and this I guess is important, I knew there was no option but to raise my children. I mean, that was never an option. So I went back to school, got a master's in business as opposed to education, and went into human resources so I could raise them.
And you did that.
I did that.
Okay. Now, what is your full name?
Nikki Coble.
Nikki
Coble.
Coble. Okay, let's give a round of applause for sharing that. Thank you. Thank you. So thank you, Nikki. Now, Nikki, here's what I'm going to do for you. On December the 1st, Nikki, I want to invite you. I'm doing a training in L.A. Teach you how to tell your story. Okay? Now, so, what I want you to do, you invest in yourself. You invest in yourself, I'm going to invest in you. And in fact, anybody that gets this tonight, we got 12 of them. It's only $50. That's lower than what it usually is. But you'll be able to come to the seminar now. Here's some stuff. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you about a friend of mine named Nikki. How many of you have goals you want to achieve? Raise your hands, please. Very good. I want you to think about your goal and dream right now. Let us say together, it's hard. Nikki was married and for many years, and she had 2 children. And then one day something happened. You know, my favorite book says, think it not strange that you face the fiery furnaces of this world. Somebody said, in life, you either in a problem or just left one or headed toward one. And Nikki one day was faced with a situation. She went through a divorce. When she said, I do, she expected to do that forever. But then something happened. How many of you know that things happen in life? Raise your hands, please. And Nikki went through a divorce, and she found herself a single mom to raise 2 children. It was frightening. It was challenging. It was painful. How many of you have had some painful experiences in life? Raise your hands, please. Very good. I want you to write this down. Are you ready? Yes. Never give up. Nikki had a dream and a vision of what she wanted to do with her life and how she's going to raise her children. And she knew that giving up was not an option. Write this down. Invest in yourself. And so she went back to school to increase her value in the marketplace. She went back to school and she got a degree and she became a human resource director. Write this down. Commit yourself. She made a commitment that she was going to take her life to another level. And in so doing, she had to do something else that was different. She had to develop some new relationships. Write this down. Kindred spirits. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to take your life to another level, it's very important that you change your relationships. Thinking about a good friend of mine, Dennis Kimbrough, said, if you're the smartest one in your group, you've got to get a new group. How many of you had to get a new group? Raise your hands, please. And so Nikki had to get a new group. Write this down, imagination. So she had to have a vision of herself, doing more, doing better, as a single mother, taking care of her children. Write this down, expand your vision. She decided that she was not going to allow the divorce to define her. She decided that she was going to carve out new territory for herself. She decided she had an expanded vision of what was possible for her life. And Nikki's life was never the same again. After doing that for many years, she retired, and now she's refired about empowering women never to give up on their dreams, invest in themselves, commit themselves, develop kindred spirits, use their imagination, and expand their vision. That's my story, and I approve this message. But during the training, Nikki, how close was I to your story?
You were very close to my story.
And we just talked a little while.
I know, you're amazing.
No, you are amazing. It's your story. But hold on, come up here, please. Come up here, right? Just a little bit. Can you see the difference in her face now? Is there different energy there? Yes, it's an energy signature. Give her a round of applause. Yes, you can do that, Nikki. Yes. You're quite welcome. How many of you, who else has a story in here? Come on up here. All right. Rest of y'all punked out. What is your name?
My name is Stacy.
Hello, Stacy.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Well, my story, what I would love to do is travel around the world. I picture myself doing a documentary and a book called 24 Around the World. My story, I came out here from Minnesota all by myself. I didn't have any family here. And when I graduated college, I was used to being an overachiever. And I just kind of thought, oh, I'll get a great full-time job and everything will work out and I'll be happy. And that wasn't the case. And I've spent the last 2 years really kind of beating myself up and saying, how come all my friends, they have full-time jobs and, you know, I'm doing this, but I knew that there was something inside of me. So what I love to do is just travel around the world and talk to people about my age in their 20s and just kind of find out where they are in life, because I think right now I'm a Zumba instructor. I work at a coffee shop. I work part-time with a green events company, and I also have a natural nutrition business. Not as close as I would like to be. Absolutely, that's what I need. I need advice.
Here's the title, Creating Your Future. Number one.
Okay.
Number two, I'm going to give you the name of someone named Audrey Garcia. And what she does is she put together cruises.
Okay.
So you do a cruise called Creating Your Future. And then I'll introduce you to another friend that will teach you how to market and advertise that on the internet. So you will begin to language in there young people who would like to create their future, that we're getting together like-minded people who want to get together, brainstorm, and explore, and begin to explore some possibilities, how they can reinvent themselves and create a future they can be proud of. Would that be something you'd be interested in?
Yes, that sounds amazing.
Let us say, look
Thank
at
you.
right now and say it's done. Everybody say it's done. You can do this. You got this. Give her a round of applause,
Thank
all right?
you.
Now, so here's what we do. She's going to meet Audrey Garcia. And Audrey Garcia, who puts together cruises, I used to do cruises. And what happened was I wanted to travel, my cousin and I, Boo, and we didn't have any money. Then I found out if you put 15 people on a cruise, they give you a free ticket. I said, is that right? So we got over 175 people to go on a cruise to Nassau, Bahamas, and to Bimini and the Caribbean islands. And so then every 15th person, we got a free ticket. And we sold that. And so I did exactly what you are talking about. I did seminars and workshops on cruises. I just convinced people to go. I found out, and here's how I got my topics. I would go to the grocery store, and whatever topic that I saw in the front of the magazine pages, that's what I would use on my flyer, because I knew they conducted focus groups to determine the topics they put on the cover of magazines. And I know it would catch people's eyes. And then we would then go to the library, get some books, and find out how to put together a workshop on it, and did workshops. And been doing it. Now I get $25,000 an hour to do what you see me doing now. But Maureen doesn't pay me that. I'm here on a blue light special. Because I love her. All right. Yes. There's no shortage of opportunity, just a shortage of imagination. Am I making sense on you? So make sure we talk, all right? And I'll hook you up with that person tomorrow. Yes, because I'm about to do another one myself. So here's something I'd tell you. Let us say together, be patient with yourself. I had to do that. I mean, getting this weight off, it's been character building. How many have had some character building experiences? Raise your hands. It's because standing up, I have a 4-pack. When I sit down, I have a 1-pack. You'd have to laugh that hard. Next time you see me, I'm going to be able to button this and not have to hold my breath. But it's been humbling because I've been able to get it off when I was younger, much easier. But now it's been challenging me. And I have to be patient. I have to be patient with myself to work through this. Let us say together, raise the bar. I realize that at this stage of my life, I got to raise the bar myself. In order to slow down this aging process, George Burns said, we can't help getting older, but we don't have to get old. So my goal is to take yoga and Tai Chi, and with my walking and weights, my goal is to slow down the aging process. And through being actively engaged mentally, I'm raising the bar myself of what I can do. I realize I can do more because I know more. And if I forget about my years will forget about me. We have 2 ages, our chronological age and our mental age. Am I making sense? But I tell you, when I used to get so upset with myself when I would start having the hot flashes, when I would say to myself back in the dressing room, I'm not going to have a hot flash tonight. I'm not going to have the hot flash tonight. And then I came out here in the hot flash and said, well, I'm here. And it would bother me. It doesn't bother me anymore because I have a power surge, and if you talk about me, I don't care. I'm here. A lot of people gone. I'm still here, and I'm grateful. All right? And it doesn't define me. My weight, my age, they can say that I'm old, but I believe that I have value. Let us say together, I have value. I have something to give. And so I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it. I'm going to find investors for the ideas, the things that I want to do. And when I leave here to find out if I'm really gone, just put a microphone in the casket. If I don't say anything, say he's gone. Because I'm going to live my life to the fullest. Dr. Howard Thurman, a mentor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Albert Schweitzer, he wrote, "Deep is the hunger, the voice of the genuine." He said, there's something in each and every one of you that waits and listens to the voice of the genuine in yourself. It will be perhaps the only guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it all of your life, your days will be spent on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. And I submit to you that you showed up this evening not knowing what I was going to share with you. But there's something in you that says, no one will ever pull my strings again. There's something in you that says, I'm going to pull my own strings. There's something in you that says, I have more in me to express. There's something in you that says, I haven't brought out my best stuff yet. There's something in you that says, this is my time. This is my hour. I'm living in a time where I know anything's possible. And that something in you calls you to show up today. Give yourselves a round of applause. Come on, you can do better than that. Are there any other questions you'd like to ask me, please? Yes. You have not been laid off. You've been released.
I've been released. I spent the last month being so annoyed over being laid off. And yesterday, I was reading the paper and I saw that you were going to be here. And I had heard you on PBS, loved what I heard. And I wrote a book 2 years ago called The Beatitudes of Life, and tried with 50 different publishers to get them to publish it. And they didn't. So I gave up. And what I want to ask you is, how do you keep going when you have all that rejection?
Well, the way you keep going is by keep going. See, you showed up. There are a lot of people who saw the ad, and they didn't show up. Let me tell you why you showed up here this evening. There's something in us at the base of our brain that's called the reticular activating system. It's a group like cells, a group of cells at the base of the brain. And what it does is it piques our awareness. Only three things can get through: things we value, things that threaten us, and things that surprise us. There's something in you, of all the people that saw the ad, those of you that are here, there's something in you that says, I need to be there. That's that higher consciousness. That's that higher self. There's no accident that you are here. You are one of those people. That's my assignment. And there's somebody waiting to hear your version, to hear your voice on those Beatitudes. And that person in you, that higher part of you, says, show up here. And what I'm going to do, one, I'm going to write the foreword for it. That's what I'm supposed to do. And two, I'm going to help you promote it through my Facebook, which I have over 50,000 people on my Facebook. And those who are supposed to read your words, those that will be inspired by your words, will pass the word that she's here. She's been released to bring her work to the planet. Give a round of applause.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Charles Marion White said, in life, when you don't have enough courage or insight to know that you have outgrown a situation and it's time to move on, life will move on you. You outgrew that job, and you didn't have the courage to move on. And so life moved on you and said, we need to get her out of here and let her go live her higher calling. Give her a round of applause. Yes, has this been of value to you this evening? Huh? Has this been worth your investment? Okay, very good. I want to give you this here. This goes, unwrap your infinite greatness. As you listen to that, you're going to send the people back a letter and say, thank you so much for releasing me to pursue my higher calling. Let me share something with you, and I'm going to end on this. I came to work one day at the radio station. I love radio. I was good at it. I did a show for a year on CBS, 980 AM. Came there at 6 o'clock in the morning. Tried to put my key in, and they had changed the lock. I tried for the longest. I said, I can't believe this. So I went and got in the car, turned her on the radio, and a guy that I had trained named Mike Reeves, he's a minister now, I sent him to the Lord, named Mike Reeves. He was on the air doing my show. Now mind you, at this time, I was crazy. Remember I said, I know I got some company in here. I was crazy. So I'm here listening, so they didn't have the guts to fire me. I used to editorialize about various inequities in the community. And so I was known for speaking out. So I was sitting there in the car and said, what am I going to do? Because the general manager didn't have the guts to fire me to my face. And then I looked up and there was a light on in the engineer's room. It was very high. I couldn't just jump up to it. So I drove my car up next to the building, got on the hood, stepped on the roof of the car, and said, Nick Bodie. He said, yes. I said, look at me. He said, yes. I said, do you know that I'm crazy? He said, yes. I said, then open the door. And he said, okay. And he went and opened the door and said, I don't have anything to do with this, and ran back to the engineering room. And I started walking down the hall. I looked, and Mike Williams saw me through the control room window, and he left the studio. I came in, I opened up the microphone, I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is Les Brown. This is my last day on the air. They have fired me, but they didn't have the guts to do it to my face. Birch House, if you want me out of here, come get me out yourself. And so there will be no music today. Then I started moving furniture and putting it up to the control room door. I said, there will be no music today. I'm going to talk today about whatever comes to my mind. They called the Upper Arlington police, and they came to the window. They said, Mr. Brown, come out of the studio or you're under arrest. I said, I want to come out, but I can't. Look at all that furniture there. He said, then move the furniture and come out. I said, I've been fired. That's work. I've been fired. If I do that, I'll be doing work that I won't get compensated for. So then, because I had locked it on the inside. Now, mind you, I told you I used to be crazy. You know, Helen Keller says, when one door closes, another door opens. But most of us spend so much time looking at and talking about and being angry about the closed door, we don't see the open door. And so they had to break the door off the hinges. You ask anybody in Columbus, Ohio, where Sherrod Brown just got reelected to the Senate, he'll tell you I was crazy. September the 22nd, 1978. And so I said, they're breaking in. You can hear them. They're breaking in. And they came in and they arrested me. They had me there in handcuffs. And Lieutenant Jackson, who later became the top security officer there in the city, he came up from Columbus in Upper Arlington, and he said, take the handcuffs off him. They said, why? He said, you can't take this guy out of here. And they said, why? He said, have you looked outside? They said, no. He looked outside. Over 3,000 people had packed the parking lot. They said, we'll call for backup. He said, pick up the phone. They picked up the phone, the lines were cut. And he said, Les, you promise to leave and not come back? I said, yes, my work is through here. I said, man, take these handcuffs off and my face is itchy. He said, I believe he won't come back. As they were taking the handcuffs off me, and you reminded me, there I was barricading myself in the studio in a place that I had outgrown. And when they took the handcuffs off, when I left that studio, I became a community activist. When I left that studio, I was elected to the Ohio legislature. When I left that studio, I became the chairman of the Human Resource Committee and the Education Committee. When I left that studio, I went back and I was available to take care of my mother. When I left that studio, I became a motivational speaker and been changing people's lives around the world. When I left that studio, I was able to fulfill the position of doing the first motivational video on public television, got a Grammy Award. When I left that studio, I received the NSA Award. When I left that studio, I received the Golden Gavel Award from Toastmasters. When I left that studio, I was selected among the top 5 speakers in the world. When I left that studio, I got a chance to meet Reverend Maureen, who changed my life. When I left that studio, I got a chance to see you because they fired me. And I thank them for blessing me with your presence. That's my story. I'm Les Brown, and I approve this message. Thank you very much. I'd like to, thank you. Would like to thank all of the people that's watching us on the internet, the Center for Spiritual Living, Westlake Village, wishes all of you the blessings of the universe. I want to thank all of you for coming out. For those of you that are interested in our coaching program, email me at yes@lesbrown.com. Put on there Westlake Spiritual Center and Center for Spiritual Living. And also we have Unwrap Your Infinite Greatness. We have about 11 of those over there. And I'll be here, but you've been so very kind. I hope this has been worth your time. Thank you. God bless you.
Did you love it? Yes. Give him a big round of applause. Now, you should know that in January we'll be live streaming. Les Brown is going to focus his attention on healing, and he will be here for 7 consecutive weeks. And you can get it as a package. It will be live streamed. I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited about what he's doing to put CSL Westlake on the map, and that this is somebody whose gift to us is greater than anything we can ever thank him for. He's not even listening to me. But
Yes, I'm excited about this series. I'm doing it for a woman that I admire and love very much. I admire her so much. And that I know from the first time, 15 years ago, when I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, I did a healing series. And I was healed at the end of that series after having 238 radiation seed implants. Last year, my PSA, which stands for prostate-specific antigen, went up to 1,500. And Dr. Julie Van Putten, she saved my life. And so I had these excruciating pains in my back, and I was getting acupuncture and chiropractic treatment, and I did not know the cancer had eaten 40% of my T1 vertebrae. And so she insisted that I would go to Florida Hospital, where she's the chief wellness officer. And because of her healing, her love, her commitment, and helping me to be disciplined and sticking to the program, I'm standing here. And so I believe in this ministry. And I told Dr. Maureen that this place is going to be filled to capacity because she's doing a good work. And I'm going to do this 7-week series. Anybody that you know that's going through a health challenge, I want you to come, and even if you're not, come. There's a series of things that I'm working on myself and that I will share with you, and there's something about when you teach it, you own it. Do you understand? I see this as a project for me to work through this experience. And at first, the first time I was frightened. This time, I handled it. I have not had any fear. And I'm excited about the opportunity and the challenge to let people know that you're more powerful than cancer. You're more powerful than a diagnosis or a prognosis. And that we are more powerful than we give ourselves credit for being, and that we think we are. And through this experience, I can tell you, tonight I was very conservative and subdued. I didn't want to scare y'all. I want y'all to come back and see me next time. Don't tell people I'm crazy because they won't come, I used to be crazy. I'm a little better now. But when I do this training, you will never be the same again. Ever since over there where I live in Playa Vista, the cancer rate has dropped 20% because I'm so determined to kill it off. And so it leaves the neighborhood when I walk. Let me tell you something. Homie ain't playing. Let me tell you something. But isn't this thing called life fascinating? And we're living in a time we know anything's possible. So I love your energy. I feel better and stronger since I came here. This is a healing environment that you have here, and I'm so thankful to be a part of it, and I want to serve you. And we're going to come back in, and 7 is my lucky number. My email is lesbrown77. I'm one of 7 children. I was born February the 17th. Did I tell you 7 is my lucky number? Joshua marched around the walls of Jericho 7 times. The world was made in 7 days. Naaman dipped himself in the river Jordan 7 times. Did I tell you 7 was my lucky number? My social security number is 267. My phone number is 702. Did I tell you 7 is my lucky number? So it's going to be called 7 Days to Healing. Oh, I'm going to come up in here and I'm going to have a 6-pack by then. Oh, look out, LL Cool J. Look out, look out, look out. I'm going to flash you the 7th night. I'm going to let you see it all. Oh, I'm going to flash you. I'm not going to moon you, but I'm going to flash you. All right, so I'm sorry. I told Marie that my medication went off. But anyhow, she'll lay hands on me. She prayed for me before I come up. She'll pray for me in a minute. But I want you to come and spread the word. 7 weeks of healing. Yes.
Yes, and you all are invited to come and share that. If you're here for the first time tonight, we have CDs out on the table in the lobby.
Wait a minute.
Wait,
We got to take a love offering for the church. Did you get value?
they paid to be
Love
here.
offering.
Oh,
Huh?
my goodness, they paid to be here, and you're
How
going
many
to
of
do
you
the
would
love
like to
offering?
still give something just to this ministry? We have not because we asked not. Did I work for you? Brought my medication in and everything. I can hook you up tonight, all right? Yeah, but just give whatever you feel, all right? Yeah, just pass, yes.
Out by the door.
Huh?
We'll leave the offering plate out by the door. and put
Yes,
it
they can use some money. She she has so much pride. I'll beg for you, Maureen. I'll beg for you, baby. I'll beg for you. You know what I mean? Please, please, please. I'll sing for you. Love me tender, love me sweet. Oh, that's a whole other ticket, baby. You can't handle the voice. All right? Yes. Yes. Yeah, she has $5. Help put $5 in there. Hold a minute, huh? Oh, on the way out? No, we're not going to be that casual. Give her the $5. Say, we can use that, baby. I can get the grass cut. All right, put something up in there. Let y'all be stingy. There's somebody, if you just give according to what you have received, all right? Just hold your hand up. Yes, thank you so much. And I flew back here from Orlando to be here. Yes, so I believe in her, and I believe that you give, you will be blessed. And she's a giver. She's committed. She serves. And so I admire her for the work that she's doing. And I'm having another hot flash. And thank you very much.